Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. There was, some time ago, an awful lot of shenanigans, shall we say, in North Lanarkshire involving Jordan Linden, involving a row, involving cover-up, and involving the SNP basically bullying members of its own party, its own councillors, who then all left, throwing off the shackles of the SNP, forming their own local party. Much to the chagrin of the SNP headquarters. But of course it was the SNP who were covering up all the sexual shenanigans of Jordan Linden. And that cover-up went all the way to the top, at least to Peter Murrell, which meant probably Nicola Sturgeon knew about it. And it went beyond just the single person that Linden admitted to. Police are investigating many complaints involving grooming as well. But, of course, these councillors were bullied and they complained. And Humza Yousaf said that he would fully investigate all claims. He doesn't like bullying, he says. And it would all be, have a light shone upon it and people would be investigated. And he's done what he always does when faced with a difficult situation. Bugger all. Because he can't admit that there's anything wrong with the party, because it would reflect badly on him. Bit late for that, though, eh? Oh. I think your name is already in the toilet. But we'll take a look at this to see why old, Ken Doll isn't going to investigate the bullying within the party, because he daren't. Here goes. So, North Lanarkshire SNP group bitterly disappointed in Humza Yousaf's failure to investigate bullying turmoil. That sentence could actually end after the word failure, though, couldn't it? The local group say there's been a total breakdown and that the SNP leader has failed to follow through on his promise to investigate. Well, say it ain't so. Say Humza Yousaf has made a promise and then broken it, like a marriage vow, perhaps. Who knows? There he is, pulling his ear. Always a sign you're lying. Oh, well, it's a little sign. I don't know what to do. Nervous lies, You always tell. Humza Yousaf has been asked to intervene in a local SNP branch dispute by bitterly disappointed members who say that the internal response to bullying claims has led to a total breakdown. Now, of course, we all know the story. Linden was the toucher-upper of other people's children. They all complained about it. Then you have the branch sort of coming back, moaning and saying, oh, well, you mustn't do this, you mustn't do that, blah, 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 blah. They pushed them down. They pushed them down the whole time. And they made threats against them. They didn't want them to bring this any further. And eventually all basically just tumbled out and exploded into what became, well, obviously a massive fallout for the party. Anyway, an investigation was expected after the working environment was branded toxic by the North Lanarkshire SNP group following a sex pest scandal that saw a local councillor resign. He was head of the council. And that triggered a by-election in Bellshill. They went on to lose to Labour by a massive margin because people don't like sex pests representing them, especially not very weird ones, who it appears maybe, allegedly, is interested in children. The Nats have now said that they are upset with the party's response and have appealed directly to the leadership, asking Mr Yousaf to launch a full, open and transparent investigation into the shameful proceedings and the toxic governance within the North Lanarkshire group. Open and transparent. It's those words again, isn't it? It's those words that don't exist in the SNP's dictionary. This follows a number of letters that, according to reports in the National, have gone unacknowledged by the SNP, who pledged to address the complaints and look into the party's handling of complaints. Fat chance there. Those at the centre of the dispute say members were bullies and they were harassed for voicing concern about the behaviour of a colleague. The party lost 7 councillors who were expelled or resigned after raising concerns about former councillor and sex pest Jordan Linden. I can say that quite safely. No prosecution. He admitted it. The Uddingston and Bellshill branch wrote to the party leader in May and again in September as a follow-up, and on neither occasion did anything happen. Both instances in the effort to highlight concern over the public scandal that activists think was the cause of their election defeat. The SNP's National Secretary, Lorna Finn, was included in correspondence from March that revealed continual failures by the North Lanarkshire SNP leadership team and said that the party has failed to investigate sexual misconduct and abuse of power. Gosh, say it isn't so. Say it isn't so. Tell me that the SNP won't investigate their own abuse of power and certainly their own sexual shenanigans. They are loaded with them. And there's even more today, apparently. Who knows? But of course, when it comes to sexual shenanigans, they've got problems because the very leader seems to be embroiled in much of the same. And he certainly doesn't want anyone investigating that kind of thing. It's all very dirty and seedy, isn't it? They're a very sleazy bunch. Sleaze just is in their DNA, isn't it? The group pleaded, they say, as they have exhausted all internal escalations bar one. Well, I wonder what the one is. We'll move on to that. According to the National, a letter later sent to the Nats from the convener of the branch, Alison Cameron, in June, stated, as convener of Uddingston and Bells Hill SNP constituency branch, I am writing to ask you for your urgent intervention following the total breakdown of the SNP group at North Lanarkshire Council. Arbitrary, disproportionate and bullying behaviour on the part of the SNP group leader and some of her group colleagues has led to all 4 of our local councillors and 3 others being harassed and victimised for rightly challenging malpractice within the SNP group. That, of course, being the malpractice of having Jordan Linden, a very strange individual who liked to go around touching other people's children, being given authority, not, resigning, not being thrown out, not being disciplined. And he is a very strange, Billy Buntery kind of looking guy. He looks a bit creepy, to be fair. The group addressed Mr. Yousaf personally, writing, "You have spoken openly of your commitment to governance and transparency." Yeah, boy, do we know that's a bullshit line. Said, which I think we're all agreed is surely the only way forward if the party is to survive and indeed thrive. Oh, I think it's too late for that. I think the party is dying and certainly not thriving, unless thriving includes adjectives like shagging everybody, leaving your wives, conducting illicit affairs. Seems to be a lot of that, doesn't there? It is in this spirit, she said, and on behalf of our branch and wrong councillors, I'm asking that you launch a full, open and transparent investigation into the shameful proceedings and toxic governments within the group. Mr. Yousaf said, while on the campaign trail, that he would look into the letter, stating, "We will investigate, of course, some of the allegations that have been made about the party and about the party's handling of complaints." What a load of old horse shit that turns out to be. When asked for an update of the Uddingston and Bells Hill members, an SNP spokesperson said, as households continue to pay the price of Westminster's cost of living crisis, it is vital we campaign to elect as many SNP representatives as possible who will stand up for Scotland's interests in the face of Brexit, austerity and the denial of Scottish democracy. So they're answering a completely different question. They're distracting. They're pointing, look, the other way. Look over there. Look over there. They refuse to answer the question. They're going on and blaming Westminster. What they try to do, assign the blame for Jordan Linden. You see, they're doing that Jordan Linden sexual case. Oh, Westminster. So as though trying to tie in and make it Westminster's fault that Jordan Linden enjoys touching other people's children. I don't think you can blame Westminster for this. But what we do need is answers. Why is it not being investigated? What are you going to do about it? Have you addressed it? Are you going to do anything? Are you just a bunch of sleazy, good-for-nothing, seedy fuckfaces who are out to grab everything they can for themselves and let people everywhere suffer because of your nastiness, your inability to have any kind of moral compass? Yeah, I think that's nearer the truth, isn't it? Certainly no morals at the top, is there? They're like hound dogs, all of them. That's when they're not busy dishing out envelopes filled with money. Allegedly. The individual named in the initial complaint has left both the SNP and North Lanarkshire Council. Well, say it ain't so, but he hasn't left the attention of the police, it must be said. He said there's no further action the SNP can take. Well, not against him, but against the party, against those who are still there, the bullies there is, but they won't. Other individuals subsequently complained about by SNP members have left the SNP to form their own political party. Again, no further action can be taken against them. Again, quite right. But that wasn't the point. They were talking about the ones that are still there, that were the bullies. And they're trying to gloss over it because they don't want to open that particular can of worms. Just say it isn't so. Bullies in the SNP? Wah. Don't think so. Yeah, right. Nasty bunch, full of thuggery, full of hate, full of bile, full of division, filled with squirming shit. They really are. And led by that old shagger Yousaf himself, who's currently, of course, enjoying a fine time at taxpayers' expense in a 5-star hotel with his current squeeze. Poor old Annam, left out in the cold, I suspect. Gonna come up. Nobody's really surprised, is it? Gosh, the SNP trying to cover up, deflect and hide all the nastiness within the party, all the bullying and thuggery. I mean, they've got their own team of brown shirts, for Christ's sake. So it's not really a surprise, is it? And there they are. He's sitting there, old Adolf Yousaf and whatever Brown it is that he's got. Eva Brown today. Saturday Girl tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows? They'll be in the bunker. Then there'll be a couple of shots with a bit of luck. Anyway, I shall round off there. Thank you very much for watching. Like I say, nobody's surprised. Nobody cares. Nobody's surprised. At least, I will also say, at least the ones in Lanarkshire who did leave the party did so in the face of bullying and said, look, we're not putting up with your bullying. They had the strength of character because, bullying is bad. So they've walked away, started it, and I've given them a little bit of respect for that. Don't agree with their politics, maybe, but at least I'll respect them for doing what they've done. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, do press the subscribe button, and I will see you later. Bye.